Next is Hulk, a game I haven't played in another 15 years. I had it pirated to the Xbox back then, not anymore, but I never finished it. Well, legitimately anyway. Here I'm playing on the GameCube, but like Rocky, I also want it on the PS2 because there's something wrong with me. So this game was tied into the 2003 Ang Lee Hulk film, but is a sequel rather than an adaptation. I remember being excited for the film back then, expecting the same quality as the first Spider-Man, but I was disappointed. Since it's so long ago, I don't remember why that much. I think I took issue with the Hulk not being in it enough and just thinking, that's it, at the ending. Well, let's get straight into story mode, set 8 years after the events of the film. Level 1 is called Inner Torment. We see Bruce Banner, still voiced by Eric Banner from the film, pull up at a petrol station in the middle of a desert. He goes into the toilet to wash his face when he sees the Hulk in the mirror, who reaches through and grabs him. After slamming Bruce's head into the mirror, he sees himself transforming. Outside, the army already knows he's there and had the place surrounded. The Hulk then bursts through the door and doesn't care for their pussy missiles. General Riker rises from a tank to give off his own snarl, and 3 terminally brave men decide to be the first ones to take on the Hulk directly. It goes as well as you'd expect. This first stage acts as a tutorial. B button attacks and we have the 3-hit combo. Holding B at different stages in the combo will charge a special attack. By pressing Y in the combo it'll do a different combo finisher. Pressing X picks up objects and enemies. I can either throw enemies or press B or Y to do a different attack. I can also do a diving attack while in the air. I also have a rage meter that increases as I fight. When it fills, the Hulk starts glowing and my attacks are stronger until the meter fully depletes. It all works very well and it just feels good to send guys soaring away. It was seeing gameplay of this first level on Game Network that made me want the game. Anyone else who had Sky Digital in the early 2000s remember that channel? After a while the tanks get dropped in. I can just punch their missiles back at them. After the tank is destroyed we enter a cutscene. The Hulk jumps up and tries taking down a helicopter, only for him to fall, reverting to Bruce as his phone rings, revealing it to be a dream. It also reveals that they got the Mountain Dew product placement, thank God. He's being called by Professor Crawford, who claims to finish the Gamma Orb, a cure for the Hulk. But the military want it and are taking control of the lab. An earpiece has been left for him on the side of the building so Crawford can guide him in. This brings us to level 2, Desperate Measures. I said I was wanting this game after seeing the first level, and that level lived up to my expectations. This is where some disappointment comes in. You see, Metal Gear Solid 2 came out just a year and a half before and was a big deal, and we're in the generation that went mental with forcing stealth into any game it could. Result, the Bruce Banner levels. These just aren't very fun. They're dull as hell and the game would have been better if you took them out and replaced them with nothing. This one isn't too bad though. I've got a very basic 3-punch combo that deals pitiful damage and that's it for defending myself. If I lose all my health, Bruce starts to transform. The reason given for why we can't do that on this level is that the Gamma Orb won't work on the Hulk. This whole level I have Crawford talking in my ear explaining how playing as Banner works. Also during internal narration at the beginning of the level, Bruce says he thinks Crawford is up to something due to the fact they haven't spoken in 10 years and yet Crawford somehow found him while he was on the run. So after crouching under a window and walking up some stairs we get a cutscene. Bruce looks over a railing and sees General Riker and his men having successfully taken control of the building and planning to take out its equipment. So I go into the lift and head up to the floor Crawford's lab is on. Once again Bruce has doubts about this whole thing. Crawford shuts down the cameras for us and I sneak past another guard. At the end of the corridor we have the other part of Bruce's gameplay, hacking minigames. I've got 20 seconds to swap the numbers around on the bottom so that they match the top. This is followed by some very simplistic hiding behind cover and waiting for the guards to leave the room. I then run to the other side, pull this crate away and enter a vent. Quickly pull 2 levers and I can enter another lift. I enter the lab, which is where the Gamma Orb is. Crawford says it can remove all the gamma energy from Bruce's body. One more bit of hacking and I'm in. Bruce sits in the orb interface chair while Crawford controls it remotely. It lasers Bruce right in the chest, extracting the gamma radiation and storing it in the orb. Crawford shows up and transfers it into himself. It transforms him into Ravage and he fucks off. Oh, and it didn't do a thing about the Hulk. This leads us into level 3, Betrayal. The Hulk jumps out of the Gemini building and we have to follow a trail of destruction left by Ravage. Some of the military also still think they can take the Hulk on. Most of them get killed before they can even get through the door. I jump down to a lower level, take more guys out with a table and also demonstrate the Hulk's thunderclap. It's done by pressing the Y button and can be charged. I jump across the street into another building, where more guys get crushed under a table before I jump out a window into the next building. Take out some more guys. One thing I didn't mention before is that most enemies will drop a small green healing item when killed. It's actually quite easy to forget about your health since the Hulk doesn't flinch from most attacks and you kill people so quick you're likely to end up healing without even noticing. Mangle some men with a huge pipe and jump into the next building. Since there isn't much going on here, I can give a few details on my experience with the Hulk. I've already spoken about the Ang Lee film, but before it I did watch the 90s The Incredible Hulk cartoon on Fox Kids. I do not remember one thing about it. Apart from that, it's just the MCU films. The Incredible Hulk was actually the only MCU film I saw until about 2015 when I got invited along to watch Age of Ultron. I've since caught up and seen all but Spider-Man Far From Home. I haven't had a chance to see that one yet. Although I liked it enough, either it or For the Dark World would be my least liked of the MCU. So as you can guess, I don't really know that much of the Hulk that wasn't in films. The only characters I knew of before replaying this are the Hulk, Grey Hulk, Red Hulk, She-Hulk, Abomination, Ross and Betty, and Half-Life thanks to this game. In fact, before I replayed this, I misremembered Riker as General Ross and Ravage as Abomination. With more boring Ultra Kintaro lore out of the way, I'm on another building. Once again, these guys can't stop me from mashing them up and jumping down, while there I show off another ability once my rage meter is filled. By pressing B and Y together, the Hulk will slam both fists into the ground for a giant shockwave attack. This does use up the rest of the meter though, so make sure to leave it until it's nearly emptied. I jump down into an indoor car park and smash my way through that, and I finally manage to land in the street and enter a sewer. Level 4, beneath the city. Gotta chase Ravage through the sewers. He's always just out of reach though, and there's a floodgate closing on me I have to smash through. Once through it, we've caught up to him, but these mutated dogs show up for a fight while Ravage leaves. While human enemies could be carried around with the grab button, the dogs just get a kick in the face. They're slightly more dangerous than the military in that they do more damage than guns. But don't worry, the military haven't learned and still think they have a shot. There's another floodgate to destroy, and sadly I learn you can't damage it by throwing a man into it. Once I smash through it and the one immediately after, I actually end up in danger as I take a lot of gunfire while a dog maws my face. Also, while watching this back, the music in this level and the last one is one of the dullest, most forgettable tracks I've heard in a while. There's another move I can do with the rage meter. X and Y has me do an even more powerful thunderclap. I smash through the next floodgate to find the military is also chasing Ravage. Their fortunes don't change. Now we have shock shielders, only way to deal with them is with weapons. Don't get stuck in the middle of 4 of them. Even the thunderclap doesn't work. I make it to the next room where I now have soldiers with rocket launchers to deal with. Only one actually appears on screen before I break through the next gate and see Ravage smack a few guys. His survivors then think maybe things will go better going after me. No sense of self-preservation on this lot. Be like a guy in a fighter jet getting swatted towards the ground by Godzilla, miraculously regaining control and immediately deciding to try Galactus next. A couple of floodgates later, I've got a row of rocket dudes shooting at me, but I'm not intimidated by them. Okay, maybe I should be. I take out a few but decide to just go through the gate. The thing with this level is that it's enjoyable enough to play, but there's really not much to talk about. I end up in another big room with rockets fired at me, just loads of enemies to batter. A couple of minutes later I finally leave the sewer. Level 5, end of the line. We end up in a train yard with helicopters keeping an eye on us, some more dogs, and everything exploding. Caving the guy's head in with a forklift is pretty fun too. Still got that same music track playing though. Once I've had my fun outside, I go inside and batter everyone in there too. I actually die here after too many dog bites add up. Next time I try actually paying attention to my health and fight my way into the next room. Pick up one of the start beams and break back outside, then enter the room across and fight through that. Squish a few dogs and repeat the cycle. Next time outside, I decide it's better to stunlock one of the dogs by just repeating the first 2 hits of the basic combo. Even though it worked, I then ignored that strategy and reverted to swinging forklifts into my enemies. After that, I then jump down to the next area and the level's over already. Level 6 is a different breed. We finally escaped the military but were attacked by the villain Half-Life, who I know for this game and nothing else. He says that the Gamma Orb was taken to Alcatraz and starts a fight. He even attacks me right out of the cutscene before I even have a chance to realise it's over. Dick. Contact with him drains my health and he's faster than me, which he likes to point out. Dick. He can drain my health through weapons though, and I take a good quarter of his health out. Thing is, he likes to get me while I'm picking up my next weapon. There's a load of electrical equipment that, when damaged, will have electricity coursing all over it. I can whack Half-Life into it with a weapon. I could if I could pick something up and keep it anyway. I do manage to thunderclap him into electricity though, and you can see the damage it does. The rage moves can do a bit of damage as well. After that I whack him into electricity again and no wait, he's not done. He's got a second health bar and he's always covered in electricity. He's still vulnerable to it though. Thing is, my health's going down quicker than his and there's no other people nearby to break for more life energy. Not even the forklift can stop him as he kills me with a dropkick. By the way, the same music since level 3 is still playing. I have 3 continues apparently, but I just choose retry. I do a bit better the second time, getting him down to less than half of his first health bar with almost full health. I'm even almost full when he enters his second phase. One thing I'm still refusing to learn is not to stand near him when he's knocked down because he will hit me getting up. Despite my foolishness, I managed to give him a dignified defeat with a box thrown off screen at him. Half-Life reveals that there's a hostage at Alcatraz who will be killed if their system detects the Hulk. He gets a bath for his cooperation. Of course, if the Hulk can't be found, then we know what that means. It's level 7, Infiltration, also known as the level that made me give up on this game as a kid, the reason I resent the banner level so much. Even now, after actually beating it, I do believe that the game becomes less enjoyable starting with this level. But hey, at least there's new music. There is also a short loop and will grate on your nerves by the time you're done with this. So I hide behind the lorries for the first few guards while avoiding a spotlight. Metal Gear this is not, you can be running close behind them and they won't hear you. While avoiding the next spotlight I have to push a crate against this fence and climb over it. And here's the ender of my original run, these sleepy gamma dogs. Maybe just me, but on both the Xbox and GameCube I had such a hard time walking slow. It just felt like any force from my thumb on that stick would have him start belting it and alert the dogs, getting me killed. Even then, I don't know what they want from me. They'll sometimes get set off when I'm walking the slowest I can, and every time I die I'm stuck having to hear a very bored sounding Eric Banner's lines on repeat.
If the Hulk is seen, the hostage will be killed. I must stay in control.
Back then I eventually got so sick of it I looked up the cheats and put in invincibility. Imagine an invincible Bruce Banner slowly punching 3 dogs to death over like 10 minutes because his punches are so weak. Thing is, it ruined the rest of the game. I got bored, put in the level select and went straight for the end. It takes me 10 minutes to finally climb out and into the next area, where I get a checkpoint. That's actually quicker than I remember it being.
Ah, waste of my time!
You telling me, mate? Well, I've got this switch with some arrows pointing right at it, so I wait for the guard to run around so I can climb down and pass behind the lorry, picking up an extra continue on the way. The switch turns off all the nearby searchlights. I try to sneak behind the guard and take him out with X, but I forget the sneak part and he catches me. I might have been able to take him out alone, but another came by and helped him shoot me to death. Gonna use continue this time, I'm not sneaking past those dogs again. Get killed again though. Next time I forget to crouch and get spotted while trying to hide. Instead I decide fuck it and run, managing to get away. I do a bit more pushing and climbing to get to the next section. Need the guard in the face and run off again. Even when not transformed, Bruce can dodge bullets. When the camera isn't conspiring to getting shot, that is. I end up behind a search tower in the opposite corner before he gives up. But while hiding a bit further on I get spotted and finished off. Thankfully I'm checkpointed back here. I try the other corner but once again get spotted and once again get killed. It really doesn't help that I can be spotted by enemies off camera that I don't know are there. I get back to that corner after spending too long avoiding more off-screen guards that spot me and very nearly get caught by a searchlight moving this box. Getting over the fence I pull another switch, opening the way to the switch in the other corner and taking out a couple lights. Run to the other end and pull the switch to open the door, then get my ass kicked by electricity that isn't touching me. Thankfully there's a row of health and an extra continue there. Then I run through the door and find a terminal for inputting codes. I'll be coming back to that later. Next room is small and easy to sneak around. In the corner there's another hacking minigame. By the way, we always get this same very bored sounding line from Bruce every time you start one.
I've got to move the pairs of symbols until I get a matching series.
It gets old. Completing this turns off the gamma detection system, so Bruce can transform without the hostage dying. Bruce looks at the security footage and sees the military experimenting with the gamma orb to create Hulk-like soldiers. Turns out Betty Ross is the hostage and this big red guy is ordered to dispose of her, setting off the Hulk and putting an end to this miserable level. Back to the Hulk for level 8, Facilities. This minigun rises from the middle of the room and puts a few bullets in my face before I get control. So I make it pay and use its remains to batter these soldiers. We also finally get some decent music. I smash through a few doorways, taking out those in my path until I make it to a room with a generator. Destroying it shuts down this barrier a little earlier. It leads to another doorway to knock through and some more lads to kick about. I make my way to this room with a window in the back, smash it and jump down into what I'm guessing is the Alcatraz canteen. Getting put in a small corridor with a load of gamma dogs actually makes them easy to deal with. They were coming from the freezer, the Alcatraz staff have no regard for hygiene it seems. Past that is another corridor with a barrier on one end, so I go the other way, take a few missiles to the chest and destroy the generator at the end. On the way back we have more guys firing rockets, but I decide they're not worth my time and jump over them. One does nick me just as I'm going through the doorway though. In this room I start hemorrhaging health thanks to a couple shield soldiers and a pair of miniguns. Just look at how much red is in that life bar. Sadly after taking them out and using the gun to beat up Shield Man, a rocket sneaks in from the corner of the screen and kills me. It seems it's 3 continues per level. I'm checkpointed back at the canteen so at least I don't have to repeat too much. I deal with the room properly and smash through the wall again. A couple corridors later and I'm finally facing the soldiers mutated with the gamma orb. They don't get to do much though before the miniguns fill out my rage meter and I take out everything nearby in one. A few more mutated guys show up and show off some moves. They are the weaker version of the thunderclap and they can grab me. With everyone taken out, a green arrow appears in the middle pointing at the floor. So I jump and slam down to fall through it and finish this level. Level 9, Substructure. I drop down in the room where they keep the gamma dogs. The dogs were in the film, weren't they? I have vague memories of the Hulk kicking the shit out of some dogs, don't know if it was these specifically though. This level is very similar to the last. Break open a doorway, run through a corridor, break through another doorway into a bigger room. One difference is that mutants show up very close to the beginning this time. They even have unique animations for your grab attacks. Break the next wall and find that this level also has barriers to deal with. So break through another wall, go through the corridor and have a barrier appear behind me as I enter this next room. I've learned by now not to take any chances with the minigun, so I go straight for the first one. Then ignore the others as I try to destroy the generator, which does stop the other miniguns thankfully. There's another barrier behind this door, so it's time to backtrack. I pass through where the last barrier was, mash some more mutants and find another room with a barrier activating behind me. The miniguns don't even try to shoot me while I destroy the generator. This time there's another generator towards the back of the room and one more in another part. Taking them all out deactivates the barriers as usual. Another mutant-filled corridor later, and finally a room that looks a little different. The other side of this room leads back to the room the first generator was in. I jump down, beat up some mutants, win away the gunmen, and finally break through the door to end the level. That one was repetitive even just to watch back. Level 10, Saviour. Bay has been put in a radiation chamber by Madman, another big Hulk-shaped guy I know nothing about other than being in this game. Hulk Mad. Not only do I have to smash up all 4 control consoles for the chamber, but I have to deal with Madman at the same time. This whole time I can see Bay's life bar depleting. Madman's moveset is functionally similar to the Hulk's, but he has slightly different animations. He also likes to knock me to the floor while I'm control smashing, making me take more time thanks to getting up. By the time the first console is destroyed, both myself and Betty have less than half our health left. Lucky for me, when I have just one console left, Madman slams my face to the floor, filling my rage meter and letting me destroy the last one. Madman gets mad and starts glowing, shoulder charging all over the place. He also has a foot stamping equivalent to the Thunderclap. But look at the difference in our health bars, you know how this is gonna end. Second time I have a bit more health when I reach second phase. The rage meter filled animation is also helpful for making the invincible for a couple seconds. This time I play more defensively, dodging more and letting him come to me so I can get the smacks in first. It works, and with my health dangerously close to all gone, I finish him off with a good backhand to the nostrils. He passes out and the chamber opens to free Betty. However, she's been exposed to the Gamma Orb and demands Bruce take her to the military's Gamma base to fix it. She passes out and the Hulk jumps off with her. Level 11 is sadly another Bruce level, Chemical Effect. The Hulk lands at the Gamma base when a shield is activated that knocks him out, just as Riker walks up to him. Filled with Gamma suppressing drugs, they're ready to make Bruce their newest test subject. While he's left alone, Betty knocks out his guard with a fire extinguisher. She tells Bruce Riker's plan to build a Gamma army using the orb. He steals the guard's uniform. I have now got to escape the place. I also can't get too close to the base's personnel or risk being found out. First, I need to create an antidote for the drugs. No one questions this one guy running around everywhere unarmed when all the others are walking with guns. After a bit of running around, I find a lift to the chemical storage level. Here I've got to find 2 chemical agents for the antidote. To the west, I have to match the codes to get the first chemical. On the way back, I almost get caught by a scientist running right up to my face. Next I go to the east, pick up a continue, but get spotted by this guard. Even the scientist tries to fight me, but 3 punches takes that nerd down. Then I just crouch and everyone gives up. Until I leave and the guard comes for me again, so I hide again. Third time I finally pull off the silent takedown I was trying all throughout level 7. But people were watching me, so there was no point in the end. Hide once more and I can finally enter the room at the end, but every single scientist wants to have a go at me, so I take them all down and match the codes for the second chemical. A couple guards come in and spot me, but the first one's only barehanded so he's not a problem, so I just keep kneeing him in the balls. Gun Guy is slightly trickier, but I lure him further in the room and escape only to find the guy with a shock rod waiting for me. Then this next door shuts on me and I die. Second time goes even worse. Right away I've got everyone on my ass. Third time I get both chemicals without incident. I return to the lift and go up another level to the formulation labs. First where I try has a load of guards and I'm not even trying to navigate past that. I go back a bit, let them all come out and then go in. I enter the lab and we get an announcement from Riker telling everyone I've escaped. Go through to the next lab but I still can't do anything. I go further down and find another continue. I go up these stairs and discover I've done a full lap of the floor. You'll also see these colours around the edge of the screen, that's the sedatives still affecting Bruce. Turns out I was supposed to look more in the first lab. I find that green arrow but a shield forms around this tank, knocking me down and letting the scientists get a few hits in. They keep me busy long enough for Rodman to end me. It's not going so well the second time either. Rodman gets the finishing blow yet again. Third time a scientist considers going for me but backs off so I can use the machine. I put both chemicals in and match another code. The chemicals are combined and now I need to go to the next lab and radiate it. Same code matching game, same line from Banner. With that done I just have to return to the elevator. Bruce shoots himself for the antidote to undo the sedatives and decides to get back to Alcatraz to deal with the leader of all of this. What about curing Betty? Well, whatever, level 12, spear point. Gotta escape the base. Bruce gets surrounded and a helpful enemy cracks him round the head, triggering the transformation. Run down a hallway, beat up some shield guys and smash through a wall to find more shield guys. I decide to ignore them and run past them, bringing this guy along for the ride. Until I use his spine to break open a wall, that is. Yeah, we've come a long way from me actually being excited to beat people up as the Hulk. The fact that the last few Hulk levels have been in such similar looking environments doesn't help. I reach the mandatory action game giant elevator but have to take out all my stalkers for it to get moving. Finally, a bit of variety. I know it's just a square, but it's better than so many samey corridors. And hey, new enemies. Got these bootleg Iron Man suits to deal with. These ones don't try very hard. They knee me and push me over and one even shoots a laser at me after the other is wrecked, but they go down easy enough. 2 more drop down but they fare even worse. Once they're done it reaches the top and I like throwing the suits into each other, but after that we're back to corridors. Absolutely nothing interesting happens here, so let's skip ahead to me breaking open this door to end up in a bigger room with a lot of robots. And I have barely any health left, but I build some back up quickly, take them out and break to the next room where only one of them notices me at first. One even has me fly in front of its face and it doesn't register. Gotta love a little human standing in that ground with the fists up. Well, they all get taken out. Another corridor, ignore more time wasting shield men, another elevator room, robot taunts me with a T-pose, get on the elevator, more robots, game needs to really do something interesting soon because it's starting to get a bit stale at this point. I take a fatal arse laser in. Make it to the top next time and this room feels like a copy paste from after the last elevator. Get killed by another laser. Make it to the next boring corridor and go free. Smash through the wall, making everyone in the room explode into the air. Alright. Now beat wave after wave of robot and then finally escape. I said the game feels less fun starting with level 7. Level 13, containment failure. Okay, we got some tanks again, we're outside for the first time since level 7. This is more like it. Now if only I could learn to stop blocking missiles with my tits. Apparently it's fatal. Things go better next time. I still take a few hits but I actually manage to blow up a tank. I also remember that I can punch them, but I also forget I can't punch their shields when they're up. With all the tanks taken out, men with guns think they're a suitable replacement. Going further on, another tank turns up. I've been a bit negative recently, but the jumping slam taking out a tank was a satisfying little moment. I also decided to carry the wreckage with me. Shame I let get shot out of my hands before I could destroy another with it, that would have looked cool. What was cool was the rage meter filling up, blowing up a jet. Throwing that soldier spine first into a tank was cool too. There we are, I'm having fun again. When I turn around the corner, I even managed to fulfill my desire of destroying a tank with the remains of another tank. Throwing a robot into them is fine, but not quite as good as a human. They must have known the repetition of the last few levels, because here your rage meter gets filled loads from the slightest thing so I can just bulldoze through everything. It's also shorter than the last few, only about 4 or 5 minutes long. I make it to a gate, smash through it, and the level ends despite the robot's attempts to interfere during the cutscene. So level 14, Guardian. Here I meet up with Flux, another Hulk type and one so memorable I forgot he existed right after I was done recording this game. He's ordered by Riker to kill me. So how many Hulk enemies that are basically just the Hulk's body type but evil are there? I already knew of the Grey Hulk, Red Hulk and Abomination. This game adds in Ravage, Madman and Flux, and I assume all 3 exist in the comics. Anyway, there's these power cells around the edges of the arena to destroy. This first one Flux destroys for me, how considerate. Destroying all 3 removes the barrier around the shield core and throwing him into it does huge damage. It also damages me because I got too close. Look at how much health he has left. He's not over that fast though. He jumps up to a high level and starts throwing grenades down at me. One hits me, he jumps down and the power cells respawn. I destroy them all again, but he jumps up top and hits me with another grenade, resetting it. Instead I take out the rest of his health with fists. Of course that's not the end. Like Half-Life, he'll glow and gain a second life bar. I never mentioned his moveset. That's because aside from the grenades, it's very similar to Madman's, whose moveset is very similar to the Hulk's. Basically his second phase is the same, but he does have this rapid punch attack. Still gotta throw him into the shield core, but he doesn't take as much damage. But do it once more and he's done. Hulk throws him into the core once more, destroying it and deactivating the shield. He then leaves. This brings us to level 15, Unfinished Business. We return to Alcatraz and right away we're greeted by a mutant soldier with a laser gun. After taking him out, I enter the building through the hole he made. Yep, we're back to similar looking corridors, except no, because after 2 I'm jumping back outside. I was a little bit happier than anyone should have been at that. After taking everyone out, I plough through his fence and drop down a little more. Been a few levels since I've had to fight Gamma Dogs actually. But then I'm back in another corridor. Boo! And there's another barrier. At this point some breakable bit of a scenery got stuck or something because I've been stuck hearing this for a few minutes. It's unbearable. Anyone know what's going on there? For this one I have to pick something up and use the rarely needed lock-on button to destroy the shield generator. As soon as I go through the doorway, the sound is gone and my ears are liberated. This next barrier I end up deactivating by accident. It leads to another dog room. Once again smash up terminals to unlock the door and then smash that door. Another corridor that involved me getting stun locked from the mutant's gun and losing loads of health. Back outside and this helicopter rises up. Thankfully the bright boys of Alcatraz left some explosive barrels here. But I actually destroyed it by throwing a mutant into it. But then another comes out. Same strategy. As it opens up for the third I jump in, getting back underground. I deactivate another barrier but gun mutants stun-lock me again, this time to death. Next time I remove the shield and make a run for it. Next room I once again ignore the mutants as I instead focus on deactivating barriers. I make it to the final room and once again let my carelessness get me killed. Next time I leave the room through the other side and finish the level. The 16th level is Without Ethics. There is new construction beneath the old Alcatraz facilities. I must move deeper into the structure and find the orb. This first bit isn't very interesting, it's just another pattern of corridor, break wall, corridor. But then we have a corridor with tubes in it that mutants break out of. Get rid of another barrier? Beyond that is a room with this in the middle, but I had 1,000 mutants following me, so I spend a while clearing them out. Then punch in all the sections on this device to get rid of another shield. It leads to another set of corridors, so I just ignore as many enemies as possible and just run through it. I make it to the end here and see Half-Life, who I chased but had the floor explode under me. Now I have to keep jumping up while dealing with gamma dogs and missiles. What would await me at the end but another corridor where my health bar gets obliterated by gun mutants. At the end of this I find a time bomb that goes off and ends the level. Level 17 is Resolve. It's also another Bruce level, Explosion having sapped his energy and preventing him from transforming. First thing I've got to do is sneak past all these gamma dogs. I'm not successful and I get ripped to shreds. Next time I start sneaking much earlier, the sudden change in camera angle here almost has me walking into one of them. Then they all wake up anyway and kill me again. I finally make it past them on my third attempt. Into the next area, crawl on some electrified wreckage and watch two guys get killed by a collapsing ceiling. Later on, the same nearly happens to me. I reach a room where two guards are failing to keep a dog under control. They kill it before I can sneak past them, so I just keep running forward, trying to dodge bullets. I outrun them but end up finding another room with sleeping dogs. I actually get past this room with no incident. I make it to this device and start pressing all its switches, turning the power back on and opening the way forward. There's a barrier here, so I crawl through this hole. There's a lot of dogs here trying to eat me, but they can't get through this hole, so I back off a bit and wait for them to leave. I crawl through and Bruce points out this carriage blocked by dogs. I get myself in a square made out of these crates where they can't get me, push one out near the door and get in there. Level 18 is One and All. The train stops and a dog is sent flying out by the Hulk. A little bit of walking and there's Ravage with the leader. Ravage beams him up to his base and tries reasoning that he didn't betray the Hulk, only Banner, and thus doesn't deserve a smack in the chops. He doesn't fly. While the other big guys have movesets similar to the Hulk, Ravage's is almost identical. He likes to throw me a lot. Most of the fight does go me punch him throw. The Thunderclap's good in this fight though because it'll stun him for a bit. He's in the lead for most of the fight until my rage meter fills now to take out the last of his health bar, but like the rest, he has another. Then mutants with guns teleported, the true difficult part of this fight. They pretty much finished me off right away. Second time I enter the second phase with even less health and die quicker. Third time I managed to hit the mutants before they shoot me. Thing is, there's also an attack from Ravage where he'll beat the ground and bits of the ceiling drop down during this phase. On a positive note, the mutants and Ravage will also hit each other at times. Still doesn't help me this time. On my fourth try I make it to the second phase with more than half my health. I mainly resort to picking up the mutants and throwing them at each other. They're good for stunning Ravage too. You aren't free from them for long after killing them though because more will teleport in. I get so close this time, but I don't make it. Fifth time isn't even worth talking about. It's not until my 7th try, after over half an hour of playing this level, that he finally goes down. More ceiling falls on Ravage, trapping him as they both revert to normal. Only in this position does he apologise.
We're both victims of our desperation.
You can fuck off. He suggests that they both go up to the leader's base, the Freehold, and destroy the orb, but Bruce shuts it down, saying that it's his battle. He then uses a teleporter. Reckoning, the 19th level. We're aboard the Freehold, and because of side effects from teleporting, we can't transform for a while. Pull these two switches to open the door, walk along until... Next time I'm prepared for them and run back to the beginning, hide behind a wall and dodge roll between them so I can get running ahead. They still get me. A few tries later I make it back out of the door quick enough that they can't see me and I can continue undetected. At the end of this corridor I'm surrounded by Half-Life and Madman. Bruce finally says the line,
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
And cuts playing as him mercifully short. Now I've got to fight the two at once. Their movesets are the same, but as you'd expect, they're just harder. I can smash these things and use them as weapons as long as I don't get knocked over trying to pick them up. And there's falling debris too. This first attempt goes quite horrendously. At least, to make up for there being two of them, they seem to take more damage than they did alone. It takes me until my 4th try to win. Once he's down to a quarter health, Madman chickens out and escapes in a lift. He leaves behind enough health to make Half-Life manageable, which is good because his health also refills. Eventually I just start keeping my distance and spamming the Thunderclap. It works quite well, and he dies. Level's not over yet though, so we're back to smashing into corridors. At the end of it is a minigun that takes me too long to realise is there. There's still mutants around, but they only come for me in pairs. There's 3 security doors in here and I finally get the name Power Stalagmites for these things. Destroying them all lets me enter the doors on the left and right. I go right first. It just leads to health and rage meter refills. Not complaining. Now for the left. This one leads to another room filled with mutants. Gotta destroy more power stalagmites and I get a bit stuck. The last door won't open. Eventually, I remember the two at the beginning of the level and go back, where two good mutants try to challenge me. I just ignore them, smash the last two and head on back. While walking back, the leader's voice is trying to convince me to join him, but the gunshots from the mutants drown most of it out. I go through the door and one last corridor to finish the level. Level 20, Mind Games. We finally reach the leader. He has the Gamma Orb and throws it at the Hulk.
What have you done to me?
Why, I've killed the Hulk! Oh, you are no longer a monster, Bruce Banner, just an underachieving scientist. You're cured.
Gotta play as Bruce one more time. There's 4 power stalagmites to operate so I can get to the orb. Thing is, the leader can teleport and raise a quarter of my health with one attack. He only hits me once and I can get the orb.
This isn't your power. It's my curse and I'm taking it back.
That was the last time playing as Bruce too. Now I can fight the leader. He can fire a big laser and float away from me as well as teleport, so I'm mostly chasing him down trying to get a couple hits in. Charging a jump attack can be quite effective. He still has the pillar lasers he did in the Bruce section though. He also uses this long sweeping laser. Can't try punching him from behind or you'll take damage. He'll also create 3 duplicates of himself. They all take massive damage when hit, but the problem is them all laser me at once. I take them all out and get back to battering him. The jump punch with the full rage meter really helps drain his health. But come on, we all know by now he's not going to stop at 1 life bar. Just like with Ravage, some good mutants start showing up and end me in seconds. On my second try I don't even make it to the second phase. I get there with about 1/3 of my health on the 3rd try. I'm so glad I'm invincible during the grab animation, it makes dealing with the mutants much more manageable. Still don't get very far though. Or on the 4th. 5th time I get his health down further than I have before, but when I get it to less than half, the mutants ruin it. Attempt 6? Nope. Just like with Ravage, it takes 7 tries and half an hour. I get a full rage meter and use a special, taking out his last bit of health. The Hulk destroys the Gamma Orb, the leader says they both lose and he escapes. The 21st and final level is Deliverance. Freehold is collapsing and we've got to get out. We've got falling debris, the floor falling behind me and remnants of the leader's army. Then a bit of debris hits my head and stuns me long enough for the floor to collapse beneath me and kill me. After essentially going backwards through level 19, I get to the teleporter but Madman is still hanging around and not letting me get out. He starts the fight already glowing and with some health missing. Other than that, his moveset is the same and it's just a matter of punching his life away first. I result to charging a thunderclap to stun him, grab him and slam his head into the ground until the rage meter fills and I finish him off. He then drops down dead. No second phase. The Hulk roars in victory and then escapes. We see Crawford failing to create another orb, Flux on a stretcher while Riker may have the key to the Hulk's power, and Bruce failing to hitchhike while walking into the sunset. The end. Bit of a rushed feeling ending if I'm honest. Also there's no follow up on Betty's infection, she's just out of the game once she frees Bruce from Riker. We're not done just yet though. There's challenge mode and we've got some special features to unlock. Right now I just have on the movie set in the movie art section unlocked. There's also a lot of cheese to unlock. In the Hulk Unleashed section I've got 2 trailers into making of the game with just 1 thing left to unlock. So first I go into code input for those cheese. Stoffrey unlocks Wicked Punch. Bringerton unlocks double enemy HP. Healthzy unlocks double Hulk HP. Angmint unlocks full rage meter. Yelp unlocks half enemy HP. Gumskin unlocks invincibility. Troublever unlocks level select. Brickeston unlocks automatic puzzle solving. Flashwound unlocks regenerating health. Nymphy unlocks reset high score. And Grinchter unlocks unlimited continues. However, there are some codes that can only be input in game, in level 7. So I put on invincibility and go back to infiltration. The guards are dicks and won't let me climb. Come on, I'm bulletproof, just let me through. 8 minutes of pissing around later and I make it back to the terminal. Typing in janitor unlocks the Grey Hulk. 15 unlocks Desert Battle in the movie art section. Nanomed unlocks Hulk movie effects in the Hulk Unleashed section. Pitbull unlocks Hulk vs Hulk dogs in movie art. And finally, San Fran unlocks Hulk transformed in movie art. And that's really the game 100%. There's challenge mode, that is never ending and just for a high score, and there's those extras to enjoy. Such as running through the final level with infinite health, infinite rage meter and a punch that kills everything in one hit. It even works on the final boss. We've got photos taken during the production of the film, artwork and storyboards for the film, and of course that making of. I miss when games included these. The best one though had to have been the one from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. I still go back and watch that one 17 years after the game's release. The Hulk FX video is about the film's effects and has a lot of footage from it, and I don't want the copyright fuckers to come after this video, so let's skip that. It's time to turn off all cheats I have on and turn on the Grey Hulk for challenge mode. First up there's Endurance Mode 1, where I just have to survive as many waves of enemies as possible in the sewer. The Grey Hulk is more than just a skin change, he has a lot of quips he comes out with during fights.
Idiot meet Peng. Peng, this is an idiot. You cannot win. Why don't you beg me to stop? What's the matter? Let's take off. You like crutches?
It's neat at first, but becomes very grating after a while because they come out so frequently. I get a point for each enemy killed, and each wave brings in more and stronger enemies. This one sticks to enemies in the sewer levels. I make it to wave 7 before a missile kills me with 118 points. Endurance Mode 2 is in Alcatraz and swaps out the enemies to match. This one I do a bit better wrong, getting 148 points before a minigun chews through the last third of my health. Next is Time Attack Mode 1. Here I'm on the rooftops with a 4-minute time limit. Same rules on points, and I get time added back as I reach the next wave. Here is just the basic military and some helicopters. This one I make it to the wave 10 and have 181 points. Time Attack 2 is in the military's Gamma base. This one I only make it to wave 5 with 82 points. Finally there's Hulk Smash Mode. Here I'm in the train yard needing to smash as many objects as I can in the time limit. Enemies are still around and each destroyed object has a second to the timer. Thing is, destroying the scenery isn't that great feeling compared to the enemies. So I just kinda half-arse this one and end up with 59 points. And that's Hulk, a game that starts off quite enjoyable but the fun factor fades as the game goes on. The Bruce Banner levels were never fun and too much of the Hulk's gameplay devolves into fighting through repeated corridors. That having been said, the core Hulk gameplay is fun, the game is decent and even after level 7 there were still times I was enjoying myself. I know this game's developers made a follow-up game that is very well regarded but I've never owned or played it, but I'm certainly interested in seeing what this game would be like with some improvements.